Hello everyone, this is Nikhila from the Yarn Artisan store, and in this video I would like to show you the process of bezeling, or the process by which a cabochon is wrapped with yarn in macrame. Bezeling is a very elementary process in macrame, especially when it comes to jewelry, because this is a fantastic way of incorporating stones and other such items in the jewelry when they don't have holes like beads do. So for bezeling, the first step is to measure the circumference of the cabochon that you want to wrap. So this cabochon is actually a 4 centimeter by 3 centimeter oval structure. So in circumference, an easy way to measure the circumference is to use a piece of yarn, lay it around the structure and then measure it out using your standard measuring scale. So this cabochon, the circumference comes to a little over 12 centimeters. So to start the process, we need the yarn that we are going to use to wrap the cabochon. In this case, I'm going to be using blue colored yarn. To start this process, we will need the cabochon and two bits of yarn. For this project, these two bits measure 80 centimeters each. That is 80 centimeters each. These two yarn will form the backbone for creating the bezel. And then this yarn is what is actually going to form the lace-like, lattice-like framework which will help wrap this stone cabochon and set it in place. So this yarn I have measured 110 centimeters, that is 10 centimeters over a meter. 110 centimeters for doing the actual lace work. So these two yarn will form the backbone and this will form the lattice. So let's begin. To start with, All I'm doing here basically is to put lark's head knots on the two backbones alternating with one another in a crisscross manner. So to know more about the lark's head knot, you can click on this supportive video which I have made. To briefly reiterate, put your working cord over the holding cord and under and through the loop. That forms your first knot. Second one is to go under the holding cord and then over through the loop. Please ensure that the distance between the crisscross, that is between the two backbone cords, stays as equal as possible from the beginning to the end. So an easy way that I have found to do that is to pin the most recent lark's head knot in place. Pin the most recent lark's head knot in place so that when you do the next one, this holding cord will not move. So over the holding cord and under through the loop. Next, under the holding cord and over through the loop. Forms your next one. Pin the most recent lark's head knot and then come to this other cord. Over and under through the loop. Under and over through the loop. So as you can see, I have made 3 lark's head knots on this side and 2 lark's head knots on this side. Continue making knots in a crisscross manner until you reach a length of 12 centimeters, which is the circumference of this cabochon that we already measured. Let me work until I get 12 centimeters and then I'll meet you back. Hi, so I'm back and I have finished 12 centimeters worth of this lattice work. Okay, as I said, these 2 yarns were the backbone yarn, which will act as the holding yarns for the lattice, and I wanted you to take 80 centimeters for each. And this yarn is the working yarn with which I make the lattice, and I had initially mentioned that I was working with 110 centimeters of the yarn, but as I continued working, I realized that 110 centimeters was a little too less. So I had to make a little bit of cut and paste in the middle here. So to avoid that, I would recommend that you use about 2 meters of this working yarn. Instead of 110 centimeters, I recommend that you go up till 200 centimeters for this working yarn. So once we have the 12 centimeters of the lattice work done, we can remove this from the macrame board. This is the cabochon, and what we're going to do now is to wrap this around so, and around like this. Okay? Yeah. Before we do that, if you can see, On this side, the length of the backbone yarn is short, while on this side it is pretty long. So I want to do a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of pulling to make sure that the length of the backbone yarn are more or less equal on both sides. Just involves holding your lattice firmly and pulling it a little bit at a time. And your lattice will sort of crinkle like this. It doesn't matter, you can sort of work it out and loosen the knots a little bit so it comes back to looking the way it should. As a final count, I have 26 lark's head knots on both sides of this lattice. So 26 on this side and 26 on this side. So just tweaking, stretching, flattening the knots a little bit so that the length of the backbone cords will become more or less similar. It just needs a little more pulling. There. And there we go, we are almost done. Here we are. So that is how it looks at the end. Now we're going to wrap it around like so. To do that, I'm going to wrap this tentatively around the cabochon, sort of adjust the stitches so that they are evenly spaced, not squished on one side and loose on the other. They're all evenly spaced like that. Okay. I'm going to secure these two yarns using the double hitch knot. As of now, the cabochon is going to be a little loose. It doesn't matter. We will tighten it as we do the bottom as well. So just tentatively pin this on and using a double hitch knot, I have secured the top right now. To make a double hitch knot, if you would like to know a tutorial, I have just made one separately and you can get to it by clicking there. Once we have fastened it on one side, we need to do it on the back side as well, because remember there are two backbone yarns, so that will require a knot on one side to fasten two together, and then on the other side to fasten the other two. So now is the time to wrap this neatly around the cabochon. Ensure that the stitches are all uniform. make a double half hitch on this side as well. So that sort of tightens the whole thing up. Again, you can adjust things a little bit, shift things around so that all the cords come exactly on the top and not offside. Okay, so this will be the front. Yep, this will be the front and this will be the back. Okay, things are not over yet, because if you see, we have fastened the backbone yarns on both sides, so everything is firm right now, but we still need to finish it neatly. So these are the two ends of the working cord, the 2-meter working cord which I used to do the lace lattice work. So those two ends, what I like to do is I like to make a double knot. You see the gap right there? Yeah, I like to make a double knot using these two working yarn, the ends of the two working yarns. Okay, that's the first knot. That's the second knot. Make it really tight, and that sort of adds an additional support right there. So what we can do now is cut away the two little bitty ends of the working cord. Seal it with a little flame. So what we have right here is the bezel, or this is the cabochon which has been wrapped with yarn using Macrame techniques. So this is the bezel, and once we have this, we can attach yarn along this lattice work all around the cabochon, and then develop our Macrame project as and how we want it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.